Listen to me carefully. Your greatest enemies don't arrive with weapons, they don't wear masks, they don't threaten you in dark alleys. They arrive with smiles, with kind words, with requests for just one more favor. They sit at your table. They call you friend, they share your blood. And while you open your door, they quietly steal your peace. I'm 73 years old. I've buried friends who never learned this truth.
Welcome, my friends.
I've watched good people destroy themselves serving the wrong ones. I've lost businesses, relationships, and years of sleep because I didn't understand what my grandfather tried to teach me when I was young. But I learned. And what I'm about to share with you isn't written in modern self-help books. This is ancient wisdom, tested through generations of suffering, proven in the laboratory of real life. If this channel is helping you see truth clearly, subscribe now. You'll need what's coming in the videos ahead. Most people discover these truths too late. They reach the end of their lives and realize they spent decades serving people who only took, never gave. They wonder why they're exhausted, why they have no energy for their own dreams, why their peace disappeared years ago. I'm going to show you exactly who these people are. But here's what you must understand first. They're already in your life, right now. Some of them are reading this with you. Some of them texted you today. And the most dangerous one, you won't believe who that is until the end. Let me tell you about exhaustion. Real exhaustion isn't about working hard. It's about giving your life force to people who drain it and never refill it. It's about carrying problems that aren't yours. It's about being available to everyone except yourself. You know this feeling, that weight in your chest when your phone rings and you see certain names. That voice in your head saying, not again, when someone starts talking. That moment when you realize you can't remember the last time. You did something for yourself. This isn't normal tiredness. This is the slow death of your peace. And here's the truth nobody wants to hear. You're allowing it. My grandfather used to say something that made me angry for years. He'd look at me after I complained about someone draining my energy and say, Benjamin, people only take what you hand them. If your peace is gone, check who you gave the keys to. I hated that, because it meant I wasn't a victim. It meant I was responsible. It meant I had to change, not them. But he was right. Let me take you back to when I learned this lesson the hard way. I had a friend. Let's call him David. Good man, kind heart. But every single conversation was a crisis. Every phone call was an emergency. Every coffee meeting turned into a 3-hour therapy session where I talked, he nodded, and nothing ever changed.
It is always a pleasure to
5
share
years of the
these
same
moments
problems,
of
different
reflection
words.
with you.
One day my grandfather was visiting. He watched me
Welcome,
hang
my
up the phone
friends.
after another exhausting call with
blessing to
David.
be here with
He didn't
you
say
today.
anything at first, just looked at me with those
Shalom.
old eyes that had seen too
I
much.
would like to welcome
How long?
you to this
He asked.
week's message
How long
of
what?
peace and
How long has he been
understanding.
drowning? I didn't understand. He's going through a hard time. My grandfather shook his head. A man who's truly drowning accepts the rope and swims to shore. A man who's pretending to drown grabs the rope, pulls you in and keeps swimming in circles. Which one is David? I sat there silent, because I knew the answer. You're not helping him, my grandfather continued. You're feeding his addiction to chaos. Every time you run to save him, you teach him he doesn't have to save himself. This isn't friendship. This is you being used. But if I don't help, then he'll find someone else to drain, or he'll finally learn to swim. Either way, it's not your job to drown with him. That conversation changed everything. The next time David called with another crisis, I did something I'd never done. Before, I said no, just no. No explanation, no apology, just, I can't help with this, David. Silence on the other end.
It is
Then,
always a
I thought you were my
pleasure to share
friend,
these
and there
moments
it
of
was,
reflection
the
with you.
manipulation, the guilt, the price tag on our
Welcome,
entire
my
friendship,
friends.
my availability.
It is a
I felt
blessing to
terrible.
be here with
I
you
felt
today.
selfish. I felt like a bad person.
Shalom.
But my grandfather's
I would
words
like to
kept
welcome
echoing.
you to this
Kindness
week's
without
message
boundaries
of peace
isn't
and
virtue.
understanding.
It's self-destruction. You want to know what happened? David stopped calling. Our friendship, built on 5 years of crisis management, couldn't survive one boundary. And that told me everything I needed to know. Real friends respect your limits. Users punish you for having them. Now listen carefully. That was just one type of person. There are others. And they're more subtle, more dangerous, harder to spot because they hide behind different masks. There's the person who disguises competition as concern, the one who asks about your dreams just to find ways to doubt them, who seems supportive but always plants seeds of fear. I had a cousin like this. Every time I had good news, he had a warning. Every time I took a risk, he had a "better be careful" speech ready. I thought he was being wise, protective, looking out for me. My grandfather saw through it immediately. "Benjamin, watch what happens when you succeed," he told me. "Real family celebrates, jealous family cautions." He was right. When my business started growing, my cousin's concerns got louder. When I bought my house, he talked about market crashes. When I got married, he told me divorce statistics. This wasn't wisdom. This was sabotage dressed as prudence. And the worst part, I kept listening. I kept letting his fear infect my decisions. I turned down opportunities because his voice was in my head whispering, "What if you fail?" Until one day my grandfather asked me a simple question. "Whose life are you living? Yours or his?" I didn't have an answer. "Fear is contagious," he said. People are so afraid of their own potential that they try to shrink yours to their size. They don't do it consciously. They do it because your light exposes their darkness. And instead of lighting their own candle, they try to blow yours out. The next time my cousin started his concerned speech, I stopped him. "I appreciate the thought, but I'm moving forward." You know what he said? "Don't say I didn't warn you." And he never asked about my business again, because I stopped feeding his need to predict my failure. That relationship didn't end, it just became honest. He stopped pretending to support me, and I stopped pretending his fear was wisdom. Here's what you need to understand. Some people are so comfortable in their cage that they can't stand watching you fly. They'll call it love, they'll call it wisdom, they'll call it protection, but it's prison, and you don't owe anyone the right to build walls around your dreams. There's another type you need to recognize, the one who always needs urgency. Everything is immediate, everything is critical, everything requires you to drop what you're doing and run. But when you look closely, nothing ever truly burns. It's just smoke, drama, theater. I had a neighbor like this. Every week, a new emergency. Every conversation, a new disaster that only I could solve. At first, I felt needed, important, like a good person doing good things. Then I started noticing a pattern. Her emergencies always happened when I was busy with my own life. Her crises always required hours of my time, but mysteriously resolved themselves if I wasn't available. Her disasters had a strange way of being urgent for me, but negotiable with everyone else. My grandfather was direct about this one. "Benjamin, you're not a firefighter, you're a match. Every time you run to her false emergencies, you feed the fire. She's not in crisis. She's addicted to your attention. But what if one time it's real? Then she'll call the people whose job it is to handle real emergencies, not her neighbor who's trying to live his own life. The next time she knocked on my door with red eyes and shaking hands, I did what my grandfather taught me. I asked one question: have you called anyone who can actually solve this? She looked confused. You always help me. I'm asking if you've called the people whose job this is. Long pause. Then, well, no, but then do that first. I'm not available today. I closed the door. My hands were shaking. I felt cruel, heartless, wrong. But you know what happened? She handled it by herself in 20 minutes. The crisis that supposedly needed hours of my immediate intervention got solved without me. And she never came back with another emergency because I stopped rewarding manufactured urgency with my peace. Listen to me very carefully now, because this is where most people fail. They recognize these patterns. They see these people clearly. They nod along and say, "Yes, that's exactly what's happening to me," but they don't do anything about it. They keep answering the phone, keep running to false emergencies, keep accepting manipulation disguised as friendship, keep letting competition hide behind concern. Why? Because change requires something most people won't pay: the price of being uncomfortable, the price of being called selfish, the price of losing relationships that were never real to begin with. My grandfather used to say, "The problem isn't that people don't know what's destroying them. The problem is they'd rather be destroyed than be uncomfortable." That truth sits heavy, doesn't it? Because you know exactly who I'm talking about in your life right now. You can see their faces, hear their voices, feel that familiar weight in your chest, just thinking about the next time they call. But here's what you haven't seen yet. I've only shown you 3 types. There are more subtle, more dangerous, hidden in places you'd never think to look. And the last one, the most dangerous one that's stealing your peace. You're not ready for that revelation yet, but it's coming. Let me show you another face of peace theft. This one is quieter, sneakier. It hides behind virtue. There are people who've turned suffering into an identity. They wear their pain like armor. Every conversation circles back to how hard their life is, how much they sacrifice, how little they receive. And here's the trap. You feel sorry for them. You want to help. You listen. You offer solutions. You try to lighten their load. But nothing ever changes, because they don't want solutions, they want an audience. I knew a woman in my community years ago, sweet person, kind smile, but every single interaction was a recital of suffering. Her health, her children, her husband, her neighbors, her weather, her government, everything was a burden she carried alone. At first, I'd spend hours trying to help, offering advice, suggesting resources, connecting her with people who could assist. She'd nod, thank me, then do nothing. A month later, same problems, same speech, same suffering, different day. This went on for 2 years until my grandfather witnessed one of these conversations. Afterward, he pulled me aside. You see that woman, he said. She's not looking for a way out, she's looking for witnesses to her martyrdom. That's harsh, I said. She's genuinely struggling. It is always a pleasure to share. Or has struggle become safer than change? I didn't understand. Benjamin, some people build their entire identity around being the victim. If you solve their problems, who do they become? They've invested years into this character. Their suffering is their currency. It buys them attention, sympathy, excuses for not growing. You're not helping her. You're enabling her addiction to being helpless. That stung, because it was true. What do I do? I asked. Stop being her audience. Next time she performs her suffering, listen briefly. Offer one simple suggestion, and if she rejects it, end the conversation. No debates, no convincing, just, I hope you find what works for you and leave. It felt cold. It felt cruel. But I tried it. The next time she started her familiar script, I listened for maybe 2 minutes. Then I said, have you considered talking to Rabbi Cohen about this? He helped someone with the exact same situation. Oh, I couldn't possibly bother him with, then I trust you'll figure it out. I need to go. I walked away. My heart was pounding. I felt like a terrible person. But you know what happened? She stopped seeking me out. Our interactions became brief, surface level, actually pleasant, because I was no longer feeding the performance. And here's what I learned. Compassion without boundaries becomes an audience for dysfunction. Real love sometimes means refusing to participate in someone's self-destruction. If someone only comes to you with problems but runs from solutions, they don't want help. They want validation for staying stuck. Now, there's another type that's even harder to spot, the time thief. This person doesn't create drama or manufacture emergencies. They just take little pieces of your day, little moments of your attention, little interruptions that somehow add up to hours. They drop by just for a minute and stay for 2 hours. They text constantly about nothing important. They call during your focused time to chat about their random thoughts. They ask quick questions that turn into long conversations. And you tolerate it because each individual incident seems harmless. It's just a few minutes, right? It's just one interruption. It's just being friendly. Until you realize you haven't had an uninterrupted day in months. I had a colleague who did this. Good man, meant well, but he had absolutely no respect for boundaries around time. He'd walk into my office while I was clearly working and start talking about his weekend. He'd call at 9 p.m. to discuss something that could wait until morning. He'd send 5 texts in a row about trivial matters while I was in meetings. I tried subtle hints, didn't work. I tried being less responsive. He just increased the frequency. I tried explaining I was busy. He'd say, oh, this will only take a second, and then talk for 20 minutes. My grandfather asked me a simple question that changed everything. Benjamin, why does he keep doing it? Because he doesn't understand. No, he understands perfectly. He just doesn't care. because you keep rewarding the behavior by giving him your time. You've trained him that your boundaries don't matter. I haven't trained him. Every time you stop what you're doing to answer his trivial questions, you train him. Every time you let 1 minute become an hour, you train him. Every time you accept an interruption without consequence, you train him. He knows exactly what he's doing. He just also knows you won't stop him. That truth hit hard. I wasn't being kind by accepting these interruptions. I was teaching him that my time had no value. The next time he walked into my office without knocking, I did something different. I held up one finger without looking away from my work and said, I'm focused right now. If it's urgent, send me an email. If it's not urgent, we'll talk at 3. He stood there surprised. I just wanted to email or 3 o'clock. Your choice. He left, and I felt that familiar guilt trying to consume me. But 3 o'clock came. No email, no follow-up. Because it wasn't important. It was just habit. His habit of taking, my habit of giving. After a week of this boundary, his interruptions dropped by 90%. The few times he did need something, he actually respected my time, and our relationship improved because I stopped resenting him for doing what I allowed. If you're recognizing these patterns in your own life and need prayer for the strength to establish boundaries, leave your name in the comments. And if this channel is helping you see truth, clearly subscribe now so you don't miss what's coming next. Here's what most people don't understand about time thieves. They're not bad people. They're unconscious people. They've gone through life taking what others freely give, never learning that other people's time has value because nobody ever taught them, and you can't teach them by explaining. You can only teach them by enforcing. Your time is not a renewable resource. Every hour you give to someone else's trivial matters is an hour stolen from your own purpose. And unlike money, you can never earn it back. Let me show you another type. This one is painful because it often comes from family. There are people who've made judging others their full-time occupation. They have opinions about everything you do, how you dress, how you raise your children, how you spend your money, what you eat, where you work, who you marry. And it's always disguised as care. I'm just worried about you. I'm only saying this because I love you. Someone has to tell you the truth. But here's the real truth. Their judgments aren't about you. They're about their need to feel superior, their need to control, their discomfort with anything that doesn't match their narrow view of how life should be lived. I had a family member like this. Every holiday gathering was an interrogation. Every phone call was a list of everything I was doing wrong. Every achievement I shared was met with criticism about what I should have done instead. For years, I defended myself. I explained my choices. I tried to earn approval that would never come. My grandfather watched this cycle repeat every family dinner until one day he said, Benjamin, why do you keep explaining yourself to someone who's already decided you're wrong? Because she's family. So what? Does sharing blood give her the right to poison your peace? I didn't have an answer. You keep handing her the knife and then complaining that she cuts you, he continued. She's going to judge. That's what she does. It's not about you. It's about her need to feel better about her own choices by criticizing yours. The question is, why do you keep giving her power to disturb you? What am I supposed to do? Cut her off? No, just stop defending. Next time she criticizes, say, thank you for sharing your perspective and change the subject. Don't argue. Don't explain. Don't seek her approval. Just acknowledge and move forward. It sounded too simple, but I tried it. The next family, gathering right on schedule, she started. I heard you're investing in that business. Don't you think that's risky? I would never. Thank you for sharing your perspective. How's your garden doing this season? She blinked, confused, then tried again. But seriously, you should really consider. I appreciate your concern. Did you try that recipe I sent you? After 3 more attempts and 3 more redirects, she gave up. The criticism didn't stop completely, but something shifted. She realized her judgments no longer controlled me, and without that power they lost their appeal. Here's what I learned. You cannot stop people from judging you, but you can absolutely stop participating in their judgment. The moment you defend, you've entered their courtroom. The moment you explain you've accepted them as your judge, the only winning move is to refuse to play. Some people will judge you no matter what you do. Let them. Their opinions are not your responsibility. Your peace is. But now we're getting closer to the most dangerous type, the one that's hardest to see because it doesn't announce itself with drama or demands or criticism. This one is subtle. This one waits. This one acts like everything is fine, while slowly, quietly, systematically undermining your foundation. There are people who smile to your face and sabotage behind your back, who celebrate your wins in person, but spread doubts in private, who seem supportive, but are actually positioning themselves for your failure. These are the ones my grandfather called the poison in honey, sweet on the surface, deadly underneath. I had a business partner years ago. We started together, built together, or so I thought. What I didn't see was that he was preparing his exit while pretending we were a team. He was making parallel connections while assuring me of his loyalty. He was setting up his own venture while acting like we had the same vision. When he finally left, taking half our clients and most of our systems, I was devastated, betrayed, angry. My grandfather wasn't surprised. You saw the signs, he told me. You chose to ignore them. What signs? The meetings he took alone. The clients he kept to himself, the information he stopped sharing, the questions he avoided, the enthusiasm that disappeared. You saw all of it, you just didn't want to believe what you were seeing. He was right. I had seen it. I had felt it. But I ignored my instincts because I wanted to trust, because I wanted to believe in loyalty, because confronting the truth felt harder than pretending everything was fine. Trust is earned, Benjamin, not assumed. And the moment someone stops being transparent, they've started being treacherous. You don't owe blind faith to anyone, especially in business. That lesson cost me 2 years of work and significant money. But it taught me something invaluable. Loyalty without transparency is just a mask waiting to fall off. Now here's what you need to understand about all these types I've shown you. They're not doing this to you because you're weak. They're doing it because you're good, because you have something they need: energy, peace, time, attention, resources, stability. And they've learned that you'll give it because you're kind, because you care, because you don't want conflict, because you've been taught that setting boundaries makes you selfish. But here's what my grandfather taught me that changed everything. Kindness without boundaries isn't virtue, it's self-destruction. You are not responsible for other people's problems. You are not required to sacrifice your peace for anyone's comfort. You are not obligated to keep people in your life who drain you dry. And the moment you understand that, everything changes. Now I'm going to tell you something that will be hard to hear. I've shown you 7 types of people who steal your peace: the drama collectors, the competition hiding as concern, the martyrs who perform their suffering, the time thieves, the constant judges, the saboteurs in disguise, the ones who create false emergencies. But there's an 8th type, the most dangerous one, the one who makes all the others possible. And that person is you. You are the one who keeps answering the phone when you know it's another crisis. You are the one who explains yourself to judges who will never approve. You are the one who keeps giving time to people who waste it. You are the one who tolerates behavior you hate because you're afraid of being called selfish. Every person who drains you, you gave them permission, you handed them the keys to your peace, and then complained when they drove it into the ground. My grandfather told me this on his deathbed. I was 51 years old. He was 93. His body was failing, but his mind was sharp as ever. I sat beside his bed and told him about another relationship that had drained me, another boundary I'd failed to set, another person I'd allowed to steal my peace. He looked at me with those ancient eyes and said, "Benjamin, you're still doing it. I know, grandfather, I know I need to." No, you don't need to do anything. That's the problem. You keep thinking you need to fix them, change them, help them see. But the only person you need to change is yourself. The only boundary that matters is the one you enforce. He took a labored breath. For 70 years, I've watched you try to be good, kind, available. And where has it gotten you? Exhausted, resentful, surrounded by people who take and never give back. You know why? I shook my head. Because you taught them to. Every time you said yes when you meant no, you taught them your boundaries don't matter. Every time you tolerated disrespect to avoid conflict, you taught them you'll accept anything. Every time you gave your peace away to keep the peace, You taught them your peace has no value. His words cut deeper than any criticism I'd ever received, because they were true. The people who drain you aren't the problem, Benjamin. They're just doing what you allow. The problem is that you keep allowing it. You keep thinking if you're just kind enough, patient enough, understanding enough, they'll change. But they won't, because they don't need to. You've made it comfortable for them to stay exactly as they are. Tears were running down my face now. So what do I do? He reached for my hand with his frail fingers. You practice the sacred no. The sacred no. Yes, sacred. Because your peace is holy. Your time is sacred. Your energy is a gift from God, not a resource for anyone who asks. The word no, spoken with love, but without guilt, without explanation, without apology, is the most spiritual word you can learn. He coughed, and I could see the effort it took to continue. Most people think yes is the spiritual word. Yes to helping, yes to serving, yes to being available. But that's not spirituality. That's fear. Fear of rejection, fear of being alone, fear of being called selfish. Real spirituality requires boundaries, because you cannot love others well if you don't love yourself enough to protect your own peace. Those were almost his last words to me. He died 3 days later, and I finally understood what he'd been trying to teach me my entire life. I am the guardian of my own peace, not my friends, not my family, not anyone else, me. And if my peace is gone, it's because I handed it away, not because someone took it. That realization was devastating and liberating, because if I was the problem, I could also be the solution. So I started practicing the sacred no, the friend who only called during crisis. I stopped answering every time. I set specific times I was available and stuck to them. When he called outside those times, I let it go to voicemail. No guilt, no explanation, just boundaries. He was angry at first, accused me of abandoning him, but I didn't defend myself. I simply said, I care about you, but I'm no longer available for every crisis. If you need help, I can talk Tuesday evenings or Saturday mornings. Otherwise, I trust you'll handle it. Half our conversations stopped, because half of them weren't real needs, just habitual drama. The family member who criticized everything, I stopped defending my choices. When she started her judgments, I said, thank you for your concern, and changed the subject. When she pushed, I said, I've made my decision, and ended the conversation. She was furious, called me disrespectful, told other family members I'd changed. She was right, I had changed. I'd stopped letting her poison my peace. The time thief at work. I enforced my schedule ruthlessly. Interruptions got redirected. Not urgent, email me. Trivial conversations got cut short. I'm focused right now. We'll catch up at lunch. He thought I was being rude. I was being protective of my time, of my work, of my peace. And here's what happened that nobody tells you about setting boundaries. Some people left. Some relationships ended. Some family members stopped calling, and that was okay, because the people who truly loved me respected my boundaries. The people who only used me punished me for having them. The relationships that survived became deeper, healthier, built on mutual respect instead of one-sided giving. The relationships that ended, they were never real to begin with. They were transactions disguised as connections. I was a resource, not a person. Losing them hurt, but keeping them was killing me. If you're realizing you need to practice the sacred no and need prayer for courage, leave your name in the comments. Let me pray for your strength. Listen to me carefully now. This is the part where most people fail. They understand everything I've said. They recognize the patterns. They know who's draining them. They even agree they need boundaries, but they don't do anything, because doing something requires paying a price, the price of being uncomfortable, the price of potential conflict, the price of losing relationships, the price of being called selfish, cold, uncaring. And most people would rather be destroyed slowly than pay that price. But here's what my grandfather's final lesson taught me. The price of boundaries is temporary. The cost of having none is permanent. Temporary discomfort when you enforce a boundary. Permanent exhaustion when you don't. Temporary conflict when you say no. Permanent resentment when you keep saying yes. temporary loss of fake relationships, permanent destruction of your peace. Which price are you willing to pay? Because you're paying one right now. Every single day, either you're paying the price of boundaries or you're paying the price of having none. There is no third option. So let me give you the method, not theory, not philosophy, actual practice. The sacred no has three parts. First, say no without explaining yourself. I can't do that is a complete sentence. You don't owe anyone a justification for protecting your peace. The moment you explain, you've opened a negotiation. Just, no, I can't. End of discussion. Second, stop accepting guilt that isn't yours. When someone tries to make you responsible for their emotions, their problems, their life, hand it back immediately. That sounds difficult. What are you going to do about it? Not, how can I help? Not, let me fix this for you. Put the responsibility where it belongs, on them. Third, protect your time and energy like the sacred. Resources they are. You have limited hours, limited energy, limited capacity to care. Stop giving them away to anyone who asks. Ask yourself before every commitment, does this serve my peace or steal it? If it steals it, the answer is no.
My friends.
That's it. Three principles, simple to understand, difficult to practice, but absolutely necessary if you want your peace back. Now here's what will happen when you start. People will test you. They'll push harder. They'll escalate. They'll use guilt, anger, manipulation. They'll tell you you've changed. They'll accuse you of being selfish. Let them, because they're not upset that you've changed. They're upset that you stopped being useful to them. Real love celebrates your boundaries. Users punish you for having them. And after the initial resistance, after the tests, after the relationships that end and the ones that adjust, you'll discover something beautiful. Peace. Real peace. Not the fake peace that comes from avoiding conflict. Not the fragile peace that requires you to sacrifice yourself. Not the exhausting peace that costs you everything. But the deep, solid, unshakable peace that comes from knowing you are the guardian of your own life. That your yes means yes, and your no means no. That you don't owe anyone access to your peace just because they ask for it. I'm 73 years old now, the same age my grandfather was when he first tried to teach me these lessons, and I finally understand what he knew all along.
It is a blessing to be here with you today.
Peace is not a gift you give to others. It's a fortress you build, brick by brick, boundary by boundary, sacred no by sacred no. And the people who truly belong in your life will respect those walls. They won't try to climb them. They won't try to tear them down. They'll knock on the gate and wait for you to invite them in. Everyone else, they were never meant to have access in the first place. If this teaching is helping you, and you want more wisdom like this, subscribe to this channel now. You'll need what's coming in the next videos. You cannot control what other people do. You cannot force them to respect you. You cannot make them care about your peace. But you can always control what you allow. That's your power. That's your responsibility. That's your only job. Guard your peace like your life depends on it. Because it does. The people who drain you will always exist. The drama collectors, the judges, the time thieves, the saboteurs, they'll always be out there looking for someone to feed on. But they can only drain you if you hand them the straw. Stop handing it over. Practice the sacred no. Enforce your boundaries. Protect your peace. And watch how your life transforms when you finally take responsibility for what you allow.
It is a blessing to be here with you today.
My friend. Until next time.